On the 11th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 11 mini apple pies. Check out how we made these in our air fryer. Thank you for joining us today in Dorothy's Kitchen. We are making air fryer apple pies. These are mini and they are yummy. Perfect for a party, a group of people. You can just pick it up and enjoy your party. So zoom in and we'll show you how we make these in the air fryer. If you don't have an air fryer, you can also bake them in the oven, no problem. But it's a perfect, quick way to enjoy this delicious treat. So obviously our most important ingredient in our little apple pies or our apple hand pies is going to be apples. Now what we are going to do today is, instead of like my apple pie where I don't pre-cook my apples, I'm going to put these in my frying pan, my cast iron frying pan, and just kind of soften these up a bit, and that will reduce my cook time in the oven by quite a lot. And this will make for kind of a softer filling. So it's going to be a little different than our apple pie recipe that we have. The basic same ingredients, but they're prepared in a little bit of a different way. And this makes for a nice soft texture in the hand pie. So I'm going to be peeling about 6 of these apples. They're quite small. I'm using Gala today. That's what I have on hand. And I just slice these up small. And the hardest job of this process is really just peeling the apples. After that, this is all going to come together quite quickly. I'm making these pretty thin today, just like I do for an apple pie. It's about the thickness of my apple slices. If you have an apple peeler, that would make this job much quicker. So I have my 6 apples all sliced up, and now I'm just adding the juice of half a lemon, which is approximately a tablespoon. You don't have to be super specific with that. So I'm just going to start by browning up my butter. And once that is nicely browned, I'm going to add in my apples. And what I'm going to do is add in my sugar and spices. I'm adding a 1/4 cup of brown sugar, a 1/4 cup of white sugar. A lot of people recommended this to me when I last posted about one of my apple pies. I always have used white sugar, and then one day I decided to try brown and we really liked it. And some other people mentioned, oh, it's really good to use half and half. So we like that even better, and that's what I'm going to share with you today. 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and the next item that I'm going to add is apple pie spice. Now apple pie spice is basically obviously a mixture of various spices. This has in it cinnamon, allspice, ginger, nutmeg, cardamom, and cloves. Now, apple pie spice is what was recommended to us by some award-winning pie makers in Nova Scotia. And where I'm from is called the apple capital of Nova Scotia. So people there know what they're talking about. They've been baking with apples for many years, hundreds of years. So I trust their opinion. So what we are going to do is add 2 teaspoons of apple pie spice. Now, if you do not have apple pie spice, you can substitute that with making your own mixture. I have used just cinnamon before, and that is very good as well. I'm just going to give this a little stir with my apple pie spice, my lemon juice, my sugar, my salt, and my apples. Now my butter has been browning for a couple minutes on a very low heat, so I'm going to add my apples into that. So I browned up my butter for a couple minutes, and you can just sort of see some hints of brown in there. I don't want that to burn, and I'm going to add my apples into my frying pan, and I'm basically just going to soften these. I don't want them to turn into a complete mush, but I'm going to soften them up. So I baked my apples for about 8 minutes in the frying pan, And the nice thing about this recipe is you can bake these for however you would like. This is what mine look like. They are soft. My fork can go in them very easily, but they're not a complete mush. And that's what I was looking for this recipe today. So for my hand pies, what I'm going to do is very similar to how I made tarts. I'm actually using the same dough, and I'm going to use my 6-inch bowl as my cookie cutter, and I just put my bowl on and wiggle it a little bit, and that's going to be my hand pie shell. So I'm going to make about 4 of them here on this dough, and then I'll show you how I fill them up. I'll just take this dough and I will form this into my hand pie. So here we have our 6-inch pie crust, and I'm going to add in a scoop of my apple pie filling. This is very similar to how I also make my pizza pops, except I use a different dough. I'm going to fold them over and try to keep everything inside. That's the tricky part. You don't want to fill them too full. And I'm just going to go around the edge with a fork and pinch it closed. And pinch this closed. And what I'm going to do is air fry this little pocket. So if you've seen my pizza pop video, you might think, oh, that looks just like your pizza pops, but this is actually pie dough, not bread dough. So it's a great way to use up your extra pie dough. Our final steps here are going to just be putting some air pockets in our pies. And I just usually make 3 little air pockets. I'll show you what they look like. And once I have all the air pockets done, I put the egg wash on, which is just an egg and a little splash of water. And I'll put on my egg wash all over my pie dough. And then I sprinkle on a little sugar. And then these are ready. I'm actually going to air fry them. And I'm going to air fry them at 425, and that will be for about 5 minutes. Then I'm going to turn my heat down to 375, and then I will continue to bake them for about 15-ish minutes. And I'm going to just judge, and depending on your oven, you might want to do a little bit more than that. So I just pulled these out of my air fryer, and they are looking really good. So they started out at 425 for 5 minutes. I turned down my heat to 375, and I actually cooked them for only 13 minutes. So they look excellent. We hope you can make these sweet little apple hand pies for a treat for your friends and family this Christmas. Thanks for watching, and be sure to catch our last video in the 12 days of Christmas.